that that's how close I was to quit. Okay, what would my life have been if my dad had said, son, I am sick of you whining about this crap. Get your butt home. Okay, I'd have gone back, gone to work at Mobile Chemical, making, meat trays or whatever, running a line there, and probably been the funniest kind of, quick-witted guy on the assembly line. Okay. But what would my life have been? How could it have been at such a completely different place by that decision? Life moves on small decisions. One of the biggest lessons I would give anybody is life moves on small things, not the big things, but the small things. When you choose to fight or you choose to quit. When you choose to find something, go for it and stick with it. Not stop and quit. I mean, one of the things our country, and this is, I'm afraid we've raised a complete generation of people who the greatest thing they know how to do is text message and quit. Okay? That in life, everything is, if it ain't convenient, if it's not fun right now, if it isn't exciting me enough right now, I'm going to move on to something else. That very few people stick with anything anymore for long enough for their efforts to truly compound and work. So number one, if you're going to be different than most people, because see, understand, being successful and winning is about being different. Most people get a job they hate, if in this day and time they're fortunate enough to get one, get a job they hate, and complain their way through the rest of their life. And blame everybody else for their problems. You've got to overcome your fears and the inertia in your life to do something different if you want to make things happen. And I believe that starts with controlling your thinking. What do you allow to go in and out of your head? What are the thoughts that you're allowing to control what you do and what you're after? And I'm telling you, that's not like a one-time, you do it and get on the right track. That is a daily war. When things go bad, I don't care how successful you've been, it is easy to get cynical, negative, lose your belief, and just change how you're thinking about things. You have to constantly weed your brain. Okay, I use this analogy all the time. I like to garden. I really do. I grew up in the country, and I've got a 45-acre place up in North Georgia, and right now, I've got a cornfield planted, and I've got a big garden planted, and I like to do that. That's what, when on the weekend or whatever, when I can, and I want to, and I don't want to be Primerica for a little bit. You'll see me in torn up, khakis and stuff like that, gardening, planting, and dirty as I can be and stuff like that. And that's something to me. I just like it. I enjoy doing that. But one of the things that anybody that is a gardener knows, it is much easier to grow weeds than it is plants. You can plant in the spring a beautiful garden, but if you don't work it all the time, it's going to turn into, by July, a big old plot of weeds. Okay? Weeds are the natural state of a garden. Negative is the natural state of the brain. If you don't weed it every day, control what you're thinking, control what you're allowing to dominate your thoughts, you will grow a brain full of weeds. That is the natural state of it, is negative. The natural state of the human brain is negative. I don't know why it's that way. I absolutely don't understand why. If positive people shared their thoughts the way negative people do. I mean, you all know somebody in your life that if you make the mistake of asking them how they're doing, you wish you could shove the words back in, I mean, why did I do that? Because they're going to tell me. And I'm going to have to stand here and listen or be impolite and walk off. You got to work very hard on what happens to the brain. Let me tell you a quick story, a quick personal story, because it's easy, probably there's a lot of you sitting here that are you going, okay, so this is going to be a day full of all that positive thinking horse crap, okay? But I can tell you that absolutely, physiologically, that works. True story, okay? And I don't know, I don't know all, I believe I had a miracle, I believe I had a lot of different things, but 6 years ago, this is 6 years ago now, yeah, I had a stroke. We were in Hawaii on a company trip and had a major stroke. Okay, not a little stroke. I had a dissection of a vertebral artery and it wiped out half my cerebellum. And your cerebellum, and I went to a little small hospital in Hawaii. They thought I was having vertigo because I'd been playing golf at a golf course that's high up in the mountains or whatever. And they thought I had vertigo, and they said, hey, you'll be fine. Okay? So I got none of the, they talk about with a stroke, all the treatment within an hour controls the outcome, get the clot buster drug, all that. I didn't get none of that crap. Okay? I went back to the hotel, felt like crap, decided I would fly home. It was on a changeover day for our field. The first group was leaving, and the next group was starting the next morning. So I said, I'll get up and speak to the group the next morning, and then I'm flying home because I don't feel good. And so I got up, gave a 45-minute speech, okay, with a stroke, with a swelling brain. Okay, I had people tell me it was good. I don't know. Got on a plane, flew back to Atlanta, and when we got up above 10,000 feet, my head was about to explode. Because you had all that pressure in the cabin, and your brain is swelling, and you had a stroke. And I didn't sleep a bit. Literally, all I did was take Advil, all the way across. Landed, called my doctor. He told me to come in. Did all the tests. I stand on one foot, stand on the other foot, touch your nose, hold your hands, do it. All that stuff. And he said, I believe it probably was migraines, that you're developing migraines, but go down and do an MRI. I went down and did an MRI. I get in the car and I'm driving home. About halfway up the road, I get a phone call that says, have you already left? Yeah, well, you need to turn around and come back. You've had a stroke. And I was in intensive care for 6 days. And at one point, my brain was swelling, which is not a good thing because you got like a skull. And it pushes in, it can push in on your brain stem, and that like controls your breathing and your heart. Okay? So they were literally for 2 or 3 days, they were pumping me full of stuff that controls swelling, and were concerned they were going to have to go in and remove most of my cerebellum so that they could relieve the pressure. And, but fortunately, the night that they were debating whether or not to do it, the urologist there was a 3-2 vote not to do the surgery, and the next day the brain started shrinking, and I'm here. But when it was all done, my neurologist, the head of neurology at Emory University Hospital, said, you're amazed that your cerebellum is gone, and so you shouldn't have any balance. You shouldn't be able to talk. Your cerebellum, if you lose it, it's your balance center. So it's kind of like the gyroscope in the back of your brain that controls your balance and how you can move and stuff. And it also, people that have lose their cerebellum or damaged cerebellum, when they talk, they sound almost like they're drunk. They powerful, you know, they can't really, they slur and stuff like that. And he goes, yours is God, you should not be doing this. And so I asked, you know, Dr. Gittings, who's now the head of all of neurology and stuff at University of Miami Hospital. So I said, you know, what do you, and he said, John, he said, the brain, he said, one thing about the brain is we absolutely do not understand, okay? He said, some people can have a stroke so small we can't even see it on an MRI. And yet they're sitting in a chair and they can't move and they can't talk. And then he said, and then there's people like you that when we looked at the MRI, we went, oh my God, he's driving a car home. That it was, you know, so major and so big. And he said that he said, so understanding what happens, he said, but people who are naturally positive, naturally happy, and have childlike enthusiasm. These are true stories from him, okay? Their brain will tend to rewire itself and compensate for the damaged area. Okay? He said, for example, with you, he said, whatever happened, your brain rewired and took care. He said, when a child gets a brain injury or an injury, their brain will adapt. And he said, but then the older we get, the more our brain gets where it does its own little individual part. If you lose it, you've lost that. Okay, so one of the tests is actually, I don't mean to get off on all this or whatever, but one of the things they did was, he actually had me in front of a class of like neurologists or whatever. I'm kind of like the performing patient or whatever, and they're showing the stuff on the screen and all that. And then they said, and now Mr. Addison will come in, and I walk in, and they go, I mean, you know, and so one of the things he did was, he said, close your eyes, which I won't do, but he said, close your eyes and walk. And I closed my eyes, and I fell, okay? He said, your vision center became your balance center. He said, so I was like, when I go to, I have a little flashlight by my bed, so if I have to get up and go to bed, I turn it on first thing, because I can't walk in the dark, okay? I mean, I get up in the dark, okay?